Hi everyone, this is Bruno Falcone. I am today sitting with the director of Property Coffee, Avocado. In my journey as a personal tailor, I always get to meet like titans of industries. And I know that today is going to be a special one because, like I said, we are sitting down today and we're going to tell everyone, the way that you're really changing, the way that you're changing the lives of everybody that you touch. And I think it's so important sometimes to give a little bit more of a background, a little bit of a story, because at the end of the day, you're such an important part of the journey, all of your clients. And I feel like people need to know you a little bit better, yeah? Could you please tell us a little bit more about how you are changing your clients' lives?
That is a very good way to start. So like you said, summarized it in a nutshell. Coffee, property, avocado, the trio to success and moving you towards success is fuel your soul with coffee and avocado on toast with eggs or whatever protein you add on.
Yeah.
Fuels your body, fuels your mind to make the right decisions, to take action towards the right decisions, and empower you with property. So property, in my view, has twofold. One, it provides shelter and a home for you, your family, your loved ones, a sense of comfort. And second, the financial freedom that it can and it will empower you to move forward. So by combining these three facets or these three elements, it's helping everyone push in the right direction in life.
That is very beautiful. I think there's a lot of people out there that never think of the importance that property can make in your life. And there's a lot of, in the industry, there's a lot of people that don't know what's behind the door of property owners. Can you tell a little bit about that? Do you agree or do you disagree? But two, do you think there's a lot of misconception about owning a property? Like, do you think that there's not enough information out there?
I think it's the opposite. There's too much information out there in today's world. Like, the information is so abundant from social media, be it TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, ChatGPT now, AI. There is just so much information. Like, you and I can get information at the tip of our fingers by, hey Siri, hey Google, tell us where to buy, tell us what to purchase. And by virtue of the amount of information out there, it just creates an additional level of confusion, not knowing how to distill and how to filter all of that information and what's appropriate for you, because obviously what's appropriate for you and for me are going to be very different.
Of course.
So that's why I believe that, yes, the information is out there, but you've got to be able to cherry pick and select the right amount of information to allow you to move forward and taking action with that information.
Yeah. Is this something that you do to help your clients?
Yeah, that is something that I definitely do. Is we park all of the information to the side in the first couple of conversations that we have, and we really, really dumb it down to tell me about yourself. What do you do? How's your lifestyle? What are your financial, circumstances at the moment? What does it look like right now in your life? What does the next 3 years look like? What does the next 5, 10 years? So we start really mapping that vision of where you want to be in life.
Wow.
As a starting point. And then we inject coffee, we inject smashed avocado, we inject property. Property might not be the end outcome that we go for. It might be shares, it might be something different, but it's starting with understanding who you are, where you want to be, and laying that solid foundation. Because ultimately, once you've got a vision, it's then where I come in and allow you to propel and streamline that journey to achieve your vision. And if you can't find your vision, sometimes it's very hard to define and find clarity in the vision, and the vision changes with time. My vision has changed, your vision has changed over life, the good, the bad, and ultimately it's allowing me as an architect, as a project manager, as a seasoned property investor to help you find that clarity, to define your vision, right, and agree to that vision. And that's where I then architect and roadmap and project manage your journey to handing you keys. Or ultimately,
That's it.
you know, finding the next best investment for you.
Wow. That is, and it sounds like so gorgeous the way that you're approaching it, because there's a lot of professionals out there within the real estate industry that it is about, you know, what's ready, what's available is perfect for you.
Yep.
Versus the approach that you have is very holistic. Like
Yep.
it's a very in-depth, and it sounds like it will make it so the decision is the best decision for your clients.
Yeah, and I think there's two good points that you picked on there, that we've got so many other buyers agents out there or other real estate agents out there that they've got incoming stock, right? And they've got to, by virtue of their profession, sell the stock, right? So ultimately what they do, they go out to their entire buyer's pool, and I've got this stock for you. Do you want it? Do you not want it? But that stock or that home that they've got might not necessarily be suited for you to fulfill your vision. So that's one. And second two that you mentioned was finding that clarity and finding that vision is so important, because it's very easy to go off a tangent, right? And even if you do, we all do go on a tangent, it's having that ability to pull you back in line and to allow yourself to be very much tunnel vision. And something else that when people come up to me, because by virtue of profession, being in property, real estate, construction, architecture, building homes, building apartments, what market should I buy? What's the next hotspot? I just passionately hate to refuse that. Out of due respect, there is a market for everyone, and it's finding and fueling it back to your vision. What is your vision? And from there on, we'll find that market to fulfill your vision.
I think it's so funny what you said. For me, for example, as a personal experience, this is me, like as a Bruno Falcone. I remember 15 years ago, you know, like kids, right? Like, you know, like 20-something, and you know, wanted to buy your first property, and then we bought a unit, like a unit, like an apartment. And what it was for me at the time, it was taking the things that I valued in life at that time. So I wanted to be very close to the CBD, like, you know, walking distance. And I wanted that specifically. And I wanted it to be, I remember I wanted to be like, have a very good lighting in the room, in the apartment. And I wanted to be the price that I could afford. One of the misconceptions that I see out there is thinking that whatever property you buy needs to be your ultimate property where you want to live, right? Where you want to be. And I think that for me, like my property journey, like as an investor, started because I just bought what I could afford when I could afford it. And now we got a little portfolio. Like it's great because we kept all of the properties that we kept on buying. And like I think sometimes now there's a little bit more of a, not an understanding, you know, it's like, I want to be here because I want to be here in 10 years time. What's your view on this
Absolutely. Like, I think the way how, and I fully resonate with what you've done, and I've personally done it too, is ultimately everyone wants to live in their dream home, whether it's a coastal property or whether it's a property by, you know, in the city or next to a golf park or anything like that. But unfortunately, it's a stepping stone. It's a stepping stone in life to get there. And the biggest takeaway lesson is you've got to be in the market to allow you to get to that ultimate dream property or dream home that you have that vision. Like what you did. Getting in markets early with what you can afford, where you can afford, to then allow time to do its thing with property, because ultimately time will allow property prices to go up. Yes, there might be shorter dips, or there might be times where it basically just does nothing and then it goes up and down. But let's face it, I'm in the property game for the long term, and I've got no doubt you are in the property game for the long term too.
Correct.
If you're coming into the property market and looking for that short capital gain, maybe
flip.
the flipping, there are
Might
ways to
work.
do there are ways to do it by forcing equity, forcing value into an existing property to then flip and move and
Yeah.
so forth. But that in itself is a profession of itself, right?
Yeah.
Then maybe property might not be the right asset base for you to be spending time in. So yeah, going back to what you were saying, it's absolutely, and that's what I really want to see. I really want to change that mindset of taking the smaller steps to get you there, whether it's going to be a unit, whether it's going to be a house on a smaller block, right? And it's the ability to compromise to start with, get yourself in the game, in the property game, allow time to do its thing within property,
Yeah.
and then move on to the second, move on to the third, if that's what you want to do
Yeah.
as part of your vision.
Of course, and this is great. I think I feel like for any other investors out there, any other people that I've taken this path, I
Yeah.
think this is very clear, right? And they've seen already the effects of this strategy. But could you spell it out? Because I think there's a lot of first home buyers and a lot of people out there. They're obviously struggling to get into the first one,
Yep.
right? So if you were to spell out this specific strategy
Yep.
that we just talked about, how would you describe it?
I think it wouldn't really be a strategy, I'd say. Yes, a strategy is important, right? Mapping the vision is equally important. But to me, it fundamentally begins with your daily habits. And why I say daily habits is the daily habits of what you can control in your life. Example, know your income, manage your pay that you get on a weekly, fortnightly, monthly basis. Know how much you're spending per month. How do we know how much we're spending per month? How much we're spending on coffee a day? How much we're spending on transport a day, right? To start building, I guess, a track record of your expenditure, start understanding how to manage your finances. That is basically, you've got your income coming in from your work, you've got your expenses or outgoings going out, making sure you're not spending more than what you're getting in from your work.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is a daily habit for you to do is, as soon as you can master your own finances, it becomes a lot easier to then manage the property's finances, because that's ultimately what it is. Once you go into property investment, it's knowing income, it's knowing expenses, and knowing what returns you're going to get. So that's my number one step, is managing your finances, your own finances, to set these daily habits. And as we all know, once you get into that momentum of a daily habit, it becomes ingrained in who you are, what you do, and you become so, by default, knowing numbers and knowing how to manipulate numbers to ultimately always be in the green zone as opposed to being in the red zone.
Yeah.
And I guess if you're going into that orange to red zone, and it happens every now and then it will happen because you've got unforeseen expenses and whatsoever.
Yep.
It's then knowing, okay, I'm going into the orange / going into the red zone. How do I then pull myself back to put me back into the green zone?
Yeah.
So that's number one. Number two is, another thing that you can do is being really good at your job. And the reason why I say being really good at your job is often your performance is a direct factor of your income or your ability to increase income. And unfortunately, property investing or getting a loan is really dictated by a function of your income. So if you can work on boosting your income, your lending power would then start increasing as a function of your income. And that is in your control. You have the ability to go to work every day and say, I'm going to perform to my best potential and deliver outcomes above what I need to deliver.
Yeah.
Right? And by doing that, you start, getting a nicer income, a fatter income, to start boosting your ability to purchase more.
Of course.
So that's number two. And number three, seek professional advice, right? Even before you get into the property market, you've got to know how much you can afford. You've got to know how much your banks are going to lend you, right? You can choose to go to a bank or you can choose to go to a mortgage broker. you've got to remember, going to a bank, it's ultimately going to a very biased professional. They ultimately represent CBA, ANZ, NAB, Westpac, and they're going to promote their product offering to onboard you as a client.
Of course.
Whereas mortgage brokers, they do the opposite. By virtue of their profession, they've got to be able to put different products in front of you to then pick the right product based on your needs and your vision, right? So surround yourself with the right professionals. So that would be and a mortgage broker would be the key to unlock or tap in to how much you can potentially borrow. And number 3 would be once you know how much you can borrow, right? So if we take it back, step number 1 is managing your finances, your own personal finances, knowing how much you're spending, knowing how much you're saving, knowing your buffers, knowing how to get yourself out of that orange or red zone when it happens. Number 2 is being really good at your job to boost your income with time.
Yep.
Number 3, going to the banks or a mortgage broker to understand how much money you have or they're willing to give you to go shopping, right? Shopping for what? It's ultimately shopping for a house or an investment. So once you've got these 3 items under your belt, I personally think there's a solid baseline for you to start then moving to the next step. So what does that next step look like? It's effectively familiarizing yourself with the markets that you can purchase within that price range that you have. So how we do this is realestate.com.au as a starting point. And it varies of what you're looking for. Let's say if you're looking for a home to live in, it will basically be i.e. Melbourne, i.e. Sydney, i.e. Brisbane, wherever you're living, and you start maximum price, right? My recommendation would typically be just reduce it by down to 20% and then just start seeing where and what you can get. So that is the desktop research that you can start doing on your phone. If you're too lazy, you can ask ChatGPT, you can ask AI, hey ChatGPT, what are the suburbs that I can purchase in Melbourne for under 500k as an example. But that is just laying the first step, right? And then from there on, you are effectively going to properties. You're tracking of how much you're getting advertised online, going to opens, and then ultimately seeing how much they sell. And from there on, you'll start seeing a bit of a disparity often. It's really understanding market.
Yeah.
It's understanding the agents, building relationships with the agents. And then when you've got that sense of comfort, that level of confidence that you know the market that you want to purchase in, start seeing where you see value in properties, ultimately to then putting an offer in if you do find a property that sits and that is positioned right within all of that research you've done.
Yeah.
Right? So that is basically your midline step. And then ultimately is moving towards a close or putting an offer, which often can be quite daunting. But like we always say, practice makes perfect.
That's
right?
it. Just have to do it.
You've just got to do it and start refining every time as you go through. And if you can't do it by yourself, again, it's going back to what you and I do, is seeking that professional help to guide you, give you that confidence and to empower you with the right decisions to allow you to take action, to fuel you forward, as opposed to just sitting and not
thinking about
it.
it.
Correct.
Well, one of the things that you just said, as you were talking about this process, right? I feel like a lot of people out there, they think it's easy because you just outlined it, right?
Yep.
And the step process is there. So it's not rocket science. It's not rocket science. Process is there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But the problem with this is it's like anything. Do anybody know that by going to the gym, eating less calories, you're gonna get fit and skinny? Everybody knows that, right? But then the issue with that is that you're doing it by yourself, you have no accountability whatsoever, the time flies by and it is 2 years down the line and you're still overweight, right? So, this is a very easy way for people to understand it, right? And then the steps are there. As soon as you said, you contact a broker. My natural step, it would have been, they need to speak to you.
Yep.
Because, there's so much more value in what you do than just doing that research for them. Well, actually, I'm dying to hear this from you. What are the actual extra things that people don't know about that you add to this process? Because it's so incredible. I mean, personally, I went through this personally.
Yep.
And the moment that I gave myself to a professional,
Yep.
all of a sudden, the choice wasn't emotional. The choice was number-based. The choice was exactly to what I needed in that moment. And it had its fruits.
Yep.
But, everybody thinks that, like you said, go on realestate.com and spending the hours of 12 months each night for 3 hours on realestate.com until when they get that result. But then most times, because the process is so long, then they get lost in the process. So all of a sudden, they could afford 800,000 and they push it to $1 million.
Yep.
They could afford being, like a little bit like close to the city, and they're like, oh, you know what, like we'll buy it over there instead. Yep. But then there's so much more in the background. There is off the market sales. There is sticking to the number that you promised yourself and getting the best property out of everything. But how do you guide them through all of this? Like, let's say that they go to the broker and then they come to you.
I think guidance is a very good word. And I think what you've touched on is the non-bias emotional attachment is ultimately taken out as a professional, as a coach, as a mentor, as a consultant, because that's where we are here to come in, to take that emotional bias. And purchasing a property can be stressful, especially if you're new to it. The real estate selling agents out there are sharks. They'll see your weakness, they'll see your desperation sometimes, and ultimately they'll capitalize on that. Yeah, because let's remember, your selling agents, who do they work for?
The seller.
The seller.
But people don't know. People don't know. They're like, real estate agents was for the both of us.
No,
it isn't.
They work for the seller.
That's right.
And what are they fueled by? They're fueled by making sure they get the best value that they can in today's market and the best price for their client, which is the seller. So we flip it on the opposite side. I flip it where I do exactly what a selling agent does, but for a buyer, for my client, for you, where we take the non-bias out, we take the emotional roller coaster out, we take this basically stress of having to deal with agents or sharks out, and we do that legwork for you. That's number one. Number two, yes, you touched on the roadmap, right? I can give you the roadmap. I can give you, like we said at the start, I can give you a key to the door. I can give you the right lock and the right key to open up that door. But the challenge is, right, once you've opened the door, right, what do? Which step do you walk in the door? Do you go straight? Do you go right? Do you turn 90 degrees? Do you know what I mean?
I know what I mean.
And it's real estate is a big platform, right? And often you can get lost within that, especially if you're doing it for the first time. And that's where experience, knowledge,
makes all the difference.
Yeah, correct. Makes all the difference, and it's guiding you down the right path as opposed to just being stuck, right?
Literally in the limbo.
Yeah.
And the thing is that the next thing that a lot of people say, they're like, oh, I can't afford it. I think it's unaffordable.
Yep.
My personal experience is that the amount of money that they saved me into the buying process, it more than like triple covered whatever I paid for the service. So I think, can you tell a little bit to that? Because there's a lot of people that are like, well, you're just going on real estate. You're just going to select a property for me. And then that's it. But that is not it. It's Negotiation is the, like you said, getting the best price that you can possibly get without the emotion, and negotiating at the highest of the excellence and level.
Yep.
So can you tell a little bit to
Yeah,
that?
definitely. And I think the nice way to walk into that or to answer that question is, let's understand what we're trying to do with property. Property is a transaction of hands, right? You've got a house that I want to buy, right? And how we change hands is by money, right? Anyone can buy a property in real estate. But the question is, at what price are you willing to buy that property? And that's where it's the hardest part. Anyone can find a property, but my challenge is, can you actually purchase that property at the right price pay point within that market in today's market? And that is where skill, expertise, negotiation, the power of human touch, human connection, human relationships come into play, which often a blueprint, step-by-step roadmap is not going to give you.
No.
And you can only excel at that by virtue of practice, practice, practice to polish your art of, negotiation, perfecting that craft of positioning offers in with agents to allow you to secure that property.
Yeah.
And that's where the value adds, right? And that's suddenly where expensive or it's an additional cost as fees is often absorbed within, right? And it's a future value of what it can give you, not a dollar cost on
Exactly.
a piece of paper.
No.
That often people need to be able to see and realize that it's a return on investment of what you're spending on to propel you forward. And as soon as you're in the market, in the right market, that dollar value that you've spent today for someone's fees, within the next 2, 3, 4 years, if it's positioned you in the right market,
Even less.
yeah, is
Even less.
exponentially, it's just forgotten.
Even less. And the thing that I was about to say, like to a lot of people out there, negotiation is a big word, right? Negotiation, people think that there's no science, there's no a real art. It's like, I'll tell you this, you tell me that, and we'll find out. In my experience, there's a lot of people that don't know this. It's literally, once you look at the numbers and you coldly, not emotionally, you look at the deal, it's really understanding that if you go over the number that you have, you're losing, right? And then the idea there is understanding, are you ready to walk out of the deal? So give a more of an example and understanding of this. It could be even like my specific experience, right? For the second property that we purchased, I didn't necessarily need it to buy the property. Like I didn't need it to, like I wanted it, but I didn't need it that specific property. I wanted another one. So I was going into the negotiations with that confidence and that power, but like, this is what I have.
Yep.
You want it? No, I'm walking away from the deal. And then the problem like with that is if you don't have experience, there's so many strategies within the negotiations where they'll take you back to the table and they'll take what they want to get out of you. But then somebody like you with so much experience in this, you know all of the tricks. So imagine somebody that gives you the trust and work with you. Is that one of like a massive factor in what you do as well?
Yeah, definitely. And it's so important. I mean, you've touched on it a couple of times, right? Your walkaway value. And again, you can see how I'm not using the cost of a price because I'm a firm believer that it's not in the price, it's not in the cost, but it's in the value. And it's not in today's value, especially with property, it's in the future value of the property. And what I do well and really well, and something that's emerged from a professional career is I'm an architect, I'm a construction project manager, I've been in the property, I've studied property markets, I've done 2 years of phases of research within displacement of people and how it affects property markets. So I know by virtue how to position value, how to find value in a property, and more so with architecture, how to amplify value in property, which often the common person out there just looking at
The
houses
space.
or space is a skill set, is a professional skill set that they don't have because it's not a career that they've made.
Of course.
So I bring this to the table
Wow.
to amplify value, and this is the crux of what we do at Insight to Property Projects is identify value, position value, and amplify future value in property.
Yeah.
So going back to what you were saying is how often people don't see that, or your walkaway price. Every offer that you put in, you need to know what your walkaway price is going to be. And how you define that walkaway price is basically by understanding the market, what it's doing now, what potential it has to do in the short term and in the long term,
Yep.
right? And positioning that value where you see it, one, and being able really being able to walk away from it. And where people get stuck is agents or sharks basically will use that against you if you don't know how to walk away.
Of course.
Often behind closed doors, if it's in a private sales setting, it's worse because
The absolute worst.
exactly, right? You don't know how much truth is getting disclosed to you, or whether they've got fictitious clients that they're just amplifying.
Got the perfect buyer. He's offering more than you.
Correct, exactly. Well, I've got 2 or 3 buyers
No way.
whatsoever.
No way.
And that's basically sales tactics
Of
that
course.
they are employed to
Yeah.
do, right? And at auction, it's even, especially in the context of how we purchase property in Melbourne, auction buying is, you can go in there under the emotional stress and the public stress of even putting your hand up or
front of
even
everyone.
vocalizing
Yep.
and offer a confident price in front of a large crowd or a small crowd
Yeah.
is a very daunting process.
Yeah.
And the auctioneers are skilled to make you crumble under pressure, to squeeze every single dollar out. So if at auction, or if you are bidding at auction, my number one tip that I can give to you is you've really, really got to know your walkaway price.
You need to know it.
And that's, if you do not know your walkaway price, you are literally going to crumble under the auction buying emotional stress on the day. And often it's just very 5-10 minutes. And the auctioneers will capitalize on that to squeeze every single cent that they can.
That's a job.
Yeah, correct.
That's a job.
That is their job.
I'm like,
And often you see it starting, going from your 20s to your 10s to your 15s, and then going to your $5,000 to your $1,000 to your $500. I've seen auctions got, finishing on $500 bids, right? And that's where it's basically testing, right, how much stamina your other purchaser has left in the tank.
Yeah.
And if you're not confident of knowing what walkaway value is, you're just going to be emotionally, it's like going in a storm, right?
No, it's absolutely horrible. Absolutely horrible. The one thing I wanted to ask you, and this is like, I think this is important because like we talked through a lot of the points throughout this interview, but would you be able literally, and I picked up on all of these points myself.
Yep.
But also because I'm a seasoned investor myself. I am in the property market. I got the portfolio. It's me understanding almost from that standpoint. That's like I've used these kind of services. Can you spell out, what makes you different within the market? What makes you different, and how do you deliver that value?
So what makes me different is I'm an architect. I'm a construction project manager. I've basically evolved a professional career in the property space, whether it's designing homes, designing apartments, designing hotels, living sector projects, and ultimately then moved on to project manage, build these projects, right, and deliver the end outcome of housing to people. So that's number one, is I've emerged from a career out of the building sector. And by virtue of doing that is I've personally worked on people relationship, or being that connector where you connect the dots, you problem solve for a solution. And number three, I'm a seasoned investor myself. I'm a professional investor. I've scaled and built a property portfolio of 15 million in 9 years. And ultimately, by virtue of doing that,
My God.
connections across the...
You touched on this so quickly. I was like, oh my God.
It's,
that's how you trust somebody though. You trust it when you do what you preach.
Yes. So,
You know, I think that's very important.
and by virtue of being in the trade is you learn from mistakes, you polish your art, you build relationship, you learn the power of negotiating, of how to position value. And the other important one is how I do this is in 3 stages, right? I am known for parking the noise, parking the property media clutter, social media to the side,
Yep.
and really just finding your clarity, finding your vision. And if you don't have a very defined vision, it's me and you working together to craft that vision, to formulate that vision. And that's where the skill set of architecture, of design thinking comes into play. Understanding who you are as a person and mapping that vision out for you.
Yeah.
So once we've done that, which is let's gain clarity, let's simplify, and really give you that confidence to educate and to empower you forward, we move to stage 2. So stage 2 is where you sit back, you go enjoy your smashed avocado on toast,
And
you go
coffee,
enjoy
yeah.
your coffee,
Yeah.
and you allow me to do the hard work of property hunting for you.
Yeah.
So I go and source, I go and secure, I go and find your property, I put that property forward to you, I present that property over smashed avo and coffee, of course. And you know, if a property is meeting your right vision, your right pathway, we collectively review the appeal of a property, where the value sits, right, and how we position the value of a property to then move it to an offer to the agent.
Yep.
And that, I think, is really where my value add is. Why I'm able to secure offers is knowing how to position it in a competitive market with selling agents. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, once we've got contracts exchanged, which is signing contracts and securing it to you, it's a celebration.
Over smashed avocado
Yes,
and
of
coffee.
course, of course. At your favourite brunch place in Melbourne. And then it's moving, it's giving you that support to ultimately hand you keys or find the right professional to manage your investment. So that's moving into towards this closeout or stage 3.
Yeah.
And obviously the support, the knowledge, the experience that I provide is a lifelong experience. Do you know what I mean? So that's what I do, and that's what makes Insight 2 so unique, is ultimately bringing a professional corporate career in the building industry into buying property. So really transforming how people now purchase and buy property, and along the entire buying journey.
Yeah. I think what you just described, it is a revolution.
Mm-hmm.
Like you revolutionize the way that people purchase, you revolutionize the industry per se. Sometimes you hear a lot of people out there's a lot of talking. Ask your real estate agent, have they got a portfolio? Ask them to show you the experience. You are bringing to the table something so unique, and you're revolutionizing the industry, because all of a sudden, instead of being a transaction, this becomes truly a decision that's connected to your life.
100%.
And I think that you're doing that so well. And I mean, like, that process, how does that process start? Do people like can just reach you on social media, or is it on a website? Like,
So it's social media. So oddiebuys.property.coffee.avocado or insight2.buyersagency. Website is www.insight2.com.au. So reach out on all of his free platforms and book in a confidence call. That's where we effectively understand where you're sitting at, right? And how we move from transactional property buying to transformational property life-changing buying over smashed avocado and coffee.
No, that is absolutely great because the thing is that a lot of people are there, and I know this but it was a family member. She was 2 years ago, and she still is in the same position, and it's that frozen state. And I think if anybody out there is in that frozen state, they just need to send you a message.
100%.
They just need you book a call, because this is a free call.
Absolutely, it is a free call. It's basically, we start, generally within 15 minutes to really understand, what you're trying to achieve, the challenges that you're facing, similar to like your family friend. Are you frozen? How to then take you out of that frozen mold and to allow you to push forward. It might be just simple daily habits to slowly start getting you to a better version of yourself, right? To then prepare you, to empower you to start building that level of confidence to move forward. And again, like you said, it's just like, I'm a big believer there's so much information out there. It's being able to take that information, right, to unlock it, to take you out of that frozen moment and to move forward.
Wow.
Even if it's taking baby steps, right? Small stepping stone steps to allow you to move to the bigger vision.
That's beautiful. Look, I wanted to ask you, this is absolutely great. And I think you have just dominated this talk with the amount of knowledge. And that's why I urge anybody out there to reach out to you. Obviously, I will post all of the links, but there's a DM works, going on the website works. Give me actually just a call works.
Yeah.
So, but the next thing I wanted to ask you was a little bit more about you, right? Like Oliver, I think you talked about it enough throughout this interview, but can you tell me and the audience a little bit more about you as an entrepreneur? Because I think you touched on how holistic this is and be the better version of yourself. So clearly, you've gone through it yourself. And I'm dying to know, what was the moment in your life where you knew that something needed to change? Something that you knew that you were in a moment, like 2 streets ahead of you, and then you took the right turn.
I think there wasn't a defining moment. There wasn't a light bulb moment that said, I've got to change my life. I've got to take my life in control. It's been probably an evolution of life. I've always been very much self-driven, very ambitious, always shooting for higher than what I could achieve now. Being quite visionary was always, I guess, that's how I ended up in architecture, because you're led, you dream big, you vision things that you can't get now. And the beauty of architecture is you have a vision, and generally it's a vision that 10, 20 to further better someone's life, to further better the built environment, to provide a shelter or to provide a space that people can enjoy.
Yeah.
And by virtue of doing that, it's fueling that vision, and then by virtue of setting that vision for myself, it's then taking those daily habits that I've implemented in my life to be the better version of me, which I now then instill and make sure it's delivered in the service offering at Insight 2, which makes it transformational, which makes it, transforming your life, as opposed to a very transaction, change of contracts, here's the keys, see you later. That's not me as a person. That's not who Insight 2 property project is about. It's being able to transform your life. And even if it's not throughout a property transaction, it's about being a better version of who you are as soon as I've come in your life. Do you know what I mean? Whether it's changing your
Giving the
habits.
tools.
Correct, giving the tools. And, when you talk about giving you the tools, giving you that roadmap, by virtue of how property is such a complex, dynamic market to be operating is, I've formulated a set of tools for myself to really allow me to move forward to really allow these daily habits to happen. And the framework which I now utilize, or which is basically the DNA of how we do business at Insight 2, is called the Orbit framework. And it's a framework, is a tool set that I replicate and make sure that my clients have access to, and how we transform your property buying journey. And the reason why it's called Orbit, it's effectively, I'm here to orbit around you as a person and to guide you in the right direction at every stage of your buying journey. And obviously, Orbit has a bit more of a meaning, which I want you to go on the website, I want you to go on the socials and find out what Orbit stands for, because it's a very unique and personal framework in the buying space.
It sounds very unique.
And
it really does.
It's unique because it's personal to me. It's, it's transformed my life, and I now feel that it's the right time to open it up to people, to allow them to equally transform.
I want to know what this Orbit thing is.
Well, if you want to know,
Come on!
you know what you've got to do. You've got to go to www.insight2.com.au, because
it's a secret.
It is a secret source of Insight 2, which is no longer a secret now. But like I said, if it had the ability to empower me to be a better version of who I am, it's there for you. I'm giving you the key to the door. Now it's really in, the framework is there, the roadmap is there, how we do business at Insight 2 is there. Yeah. So it's ultimately up to you to take that, implement daily habits in your life, starting at very small daily habits, and then ultimately they compound over time, right? If you implement that 365 days, picture what that can do in 5 years, in 10 years. Yeah. It can really propel you to growth. And it's really starting small. I think that's the key to it. It's, you just don't want to change your life 24/7 overnight, because you're going to go into that discomfort zone. And what happens there? It gets too hard. And you people quit. Walk away. You quit. It's just like going to the gym, right? What would you want to? What would you start
with a full-on hour and a half workout?
Correct.
You're not going to go back.
You're not going to go back. And it's the same with the daily habits. It's the same with property. It's starting small and making sure that you can take those small steps to get you where you want to be. And that's what the Orbit framework does. It allows you to take those small steps. Really, there's key skill sets, there's soft skills that you've got to implement in your life to be able to close that transaction. Because everyone can find anything on real estate. You can go on real estate and you can find everyone's looking at the same property. Everyone's looking at 215 St Kilda Road, Melbourne.
That's it.
Right?
That's it.
So that's where experience, expertise comes into play to close and secure that deal for you.
Yeah. Now, the one thing that I wanted to ask you, obviously, I'm a tailor. So like from your tailor perspective, I wanted to switch gear for a moment and ask you the importance of presenting yourself and representing your brand. Mm-hmm. We're having this conversation just off cameras just before. Can you tell me a little bit more about, your choices? Is there a choice behind the colors that you're wearing, for example? Or is there, because I tell you, from my professional opinion, which is really trust. Mm-hmm. So the colors that you picked today, whether you knew or not, they inspire trust. They inspire trust and they inspire openness. Mm-hmm. So anybody that would approach you, anybody that would come by you, with you wearing these colors, they will most likely be welcomed to say hi and speak to you, right? Mm-hmm. Was that something that you did on purpose?
No, not necessarily. Not at all. Like, I've actually never seen it that way. No.
That's how you know.
So my question to you now, as a professional tailor, is something that you do as a profession, and again, it's seeking that professional advice because it's not my domain.
Of course.
And it's first impression counts. With what I'm wearing today, does that instill an open, warm, welcoming feel to engage a conversation and build a little bit of trust or a little bit of rapport?
Yeah.
Am I wearing the right colors?
So I think you do. So
Yeah.
I mean, this part of the chat is really like to let you know that the colors that you picked, like they're right for your under skin tone, they're
Yeah.
right for your complexion, and my point was the colors that tell a story.
Yeah.
So colors, they tell a story about yourself, and this is something that I do with all of my clients. We'll do a color analysis, and not too dissimilar to you. Like it's about understanding what kind of image they want to portray of themselves in the world. And in your specific case, I think it is key that you inspire trust and welcome and warmth. So I think, yeah, the colors are great. And I mean, and there's different colors for different reasons.
Yep.
So a lot of real estate agents out there, they always aim for that power look, right? The strong blues or the stripes or the checks or the loudness, right? And I think people are smart. People are starting to realize the real estate agents are there to strong arm them in something that they don't want. But obviously, like image has such a powerful effect because whether you like it or not, sometimes you're overwhelmed by that power, right? I mean, business, in a business like in which you are, I think it's key to dress for the occasion. So today we had a super friendly chat, you know, easy going. It was a moment for you to like tell her a bit about yourself and put down those walls. And this outfit does that.
Yep.
But
That's good to know as a starting point.
and then the moment that you are there portraying yourself, let's say to a crowd or like to like a big room or like you public speaking, that's when you need to combine this warmth that you have with a little bit of authority from a strictly image, like outside image. So, you know, when you go into a room of 1,000 people or more, 2,000 people, people don't know you, and whether you like it or not, they will judge you based on the way that you appear. And this is a study, like, I mean, it's very famous. I think it's Stanford, or I can't remember exactly, but it was like 7 seconds. So 7 seconds is how long it takes somebody to know if they want to be intertwined with you, if they want to do business with you. So within the business world, those 7 seconds is literally you walk in a room, somebody gives you a look, and then they instantly know, do I want to do business with this person or not? Do I trust this person? And the thing that most people don't know, and like a lot of business owners, and indirectly, you know, really, it could be also your clients, indirectly, they don't know that within those 7 seconds, you could make it or break it. Whenever I work with somebody, it's really just understanding. I always try to understand that what kind of image, what kind of personal brand do they want to put out there and empower them just the same way as you empower your clients. I really empower them to get a full understanding of what kind of reaction they're getting into the room they walk in. Do they want to get the attention? Do they want to command the room? Do they want to be a wallflower? It really matters. It matters so much. And colors, it's one of the things that go into the mix. So I think, like going back to you, like the reason why I asked is because as soon as I see you, as soon as I speak to you, those are the feelings that you gave.
Yep.
And I think it's so important. So that's why that was one of my favorite questions. And I mean, do you find yourself feeling in a different way whenever you dress in a different way?
A couple of very strong points that I want to make out of this is, and I really like how you and I are very similar, that you utilize your professional expertise to fuel an image, to fuel a vision, and to understand the client that you're working with. What is that vision you want to achieve, even before going to this is the right color, this is the right suit, this is the right fit. And it's very powerful what you do because it's giving the right product to your client, which both you and I operate in a very, very similar, almost very alike business model, or foundations of how we do business and empower people. And it's such a fantastic way to do it because, especially with dress, with appeal, how you portray yourself, and using the 7-second rule, it can transform how someone sees you, how someone wants to approach you, and even talk to you. And it is even so important when it comes to brand imagery for Insight too, where I've got to be able to shift persona twofold. One conversation I might be with a client, really empowering, really guiding, them down their property buying journey, whether it's a first-time buyer or whether it's a seasoned investor. The narrative will change, and then the next phone call or the next meeting I then have, it's commanding power, authority when I'm on the phone or a coffee catch-up with real estate agents to negotiate an offer for my clients. So it's having that ability to shift personalities within 24/7 day. And my question to you then becomes, how do you then address that with dressing someone in a 7-hour day where obviously I'm not going to change attire every time I have
in between
because my
course.
days can be very hectic and very busy. Like having a conversation with a client, early morning coffee over smashed avocado and coffee, and then moving, going to an open or house inspection to inspect a house for a client, to then moving to a real estate office to negotiate an offer, to then moving to another project. So my question to you then becomes, in my context as a client that we work together, to dress me to give that brand imagery to suit the different occasions within a working day. How do you do that? Challenge? What's that challenge?
I actually really love this. I can't believe that you asked this. Like, this is so great. I couldn't, I wanted to bust out and just this is it. Look, the key, and this is so true.
Yeah.
The key here is the fabrics that you wear.
Yep.
Literally. The short answer is fabrics.
Yep.
Now, the fabrics, just as well as colors, tell so much about who you are, what kind of image you want to portray out there, what kind of authority, what kind of person, trust, or what power, all of that, it's dictated by fabrics. Now, fabrics are, within the tailoring world, that you got your wool, cotton, linen, silk, cashmere, all of the fabrics. To command power, the main thing is style. To command power, it is style. So the style, and by style, what I mean is the way that the garments that you're wearing are shaping you and the way they look, right? So colors aside and fabrics aside, power is commanded by style. Trust and authority is commanded by the fabrics. Now, the fabric, and in this discussion, we're talking about a 7-hour day, and you are shifting in between appointments and you need to command the room in different ways. So we solve that, like I said, by the fabrics that you wear. So your essential items will be your trouser and your shirt, like you're wearing today. So today you're wearing a cotton trouser, cotton shirt. So that is your, that is your fabric that gives that sense of trust and openness and warmth, and that's what you will wear with your clients. The moment that you want to shift to feel empowered and something a little bit more power, you will combine this exact outfit with an extra piece of items, which will be a jacket, and the jacket needs to have the style that will give the power. So the style that will give the power, without going too much into details, it will be the lapels, the shoulders, the pockets, what kind of look this jacket has. And then for that extra moment within that 7 days, that same jacket needs to have a fabric that commands the room. Now, the fabric that will command the room will depend so much on what you're trying to get out of it. So whenever you're sitting down in a negotiation, whether you're on the phone or in person, that jacket will give you the same exact result because it'll make you feel a certain way. So even over the phone, you put it on and you feel like Superman instantly, right? The fabrics that command the room are the fabrics that they're more refined. So everybody out there, like when you walk into the stores, it's like your wool jacket, cotton jacket, and that's it. That's what you find, or linen jacket. The fabrics that do the trick is the mixture. So the moment that you wear something like I'm wearing today, this is clearly linen, but then there's silk through it, there's wool through it. So it's a mix of the fabrics together. So what the mixture does is, in this specific case, I'm wearing a linen jacket, but it doesn't crease as much as a 100% linen jacket because the wool through it and the silk through it will allow to have the look without having the downfall of linen. And then so whenever you go to like a negotiation, a power negotiation with somebody, or you need that power into the meeting, that's when a fabric that's more refined will always catch the attention of the room. Or the suit that's more refined will always catch the attention of the room in that powerful, authoritative way, versus everyone else that will just get whatever they find at the shop. So I don't know if I answered your question, but like within your 7 hours in the morning, you're meeting with a client, you're just wearing what you're wearing, and then just by literally adding that piece of item, like just the jacket, a jacket that will go well with the items that you're wearing today, that's how you make the trick happen.
That is absolutely well responded.
You reckon?
It is. I just learned.
You weren't expecting it?
I just learned so much out of it, and I think the biggest takeaway is, and often because we do it every day, like it's just ingrained in what we do. Again, with daily habits, like by virtue, now everyone just gets up. I know I've got to dress up, right?
Yeah.
I guess in the context of a corporate job, you basically but in business or in what you and I do, it's very multifaceted across an 8-hour day or a 10-hour day. And it's amazing to hear how, without realizing it, how you dress yourself, how you choose your garments from top to bottom, and how you can layer, unlayer with different elements has a power to command power, empower, trust in a split of a second.
It's
and
incredible.
It's incredible.
And I see
it's
it.
fascinating how clothes has the ability to do that and either make your image or do the total opposite of ruin your image.
Yeah, well, like especially within the real estate industry, I can see it, how sometimes some agents, they will just disempower themselves. Because by wearing something that, like you're in $1 million property and you're wearing something that with the level of sales that you're doing, people like lose trust, or people, they don't trust that person's going to take them where they need to be.
Yeah.
Versus, whenever you take a little bit more care of it, everything changes. But in saying that, I had a very interesting conversation with a stylist in Melbourne yesterday. You need to, just like in property, you need to shop for your budget. That's when you speak to like a tailor or you speak to a professional, I look at it with the coldness, no emotion. I look at you and say, okay, so the budget that you have is X, so you should get XYZ in this store, and then come to me, we'll tailor it.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's about understanding to not have the emotional reaction. I can't tell you the amount of times that like somebody will come to me and I give them all of the tools, all of the, like literally the way and the journey to be like, you need to get the shirt from there, you need to get the tie from there, you need to get the trousers from there. Just make a jacket with me and we'll make all the difference. And it's so important. So budget, for me, it is key. So just like in property, you have a certain budget, you have a specific amount that's gonna make you comfortable, and I work with that.
So on this note, let's say the audience out there listening, right? They want to go in and do my job or what I do, as in they want to go and negotiate an offer with a real estate agent that a house that they're really, really interested in. And let's say they're 24 years old, first property, obviously still young at heart, fresh looks. And often agents basically see that as meat on the bone for a shark to attack at. So with
Sure
now, sure is, right? With the power of how clothing can basically power and give that sense of, you know, I'm here to make a deal. And, you know, obviously at 24 years old or 25 years old, you know, you're buying a property which is, in most instances, your most expensive, you know, and probably budgeting to clothing or attire
Yep.
is the least of your concerns, right? So let's say if I've got a very slim budget, let's say starting at a price point of what would be reasonable, $500.
Yep.
Yeah. How can I then, with $500, with your advice, your recommendation, dress to have that power play in the real estate office to command power to negotiate and close an offer?
Yeah. Oh, very easy. Like I would literally, the same way that you will scour through real estate, you will scour the internet for like the brands that deliver the value that you need out of this, right? So there's a lot of brands out there, like especially in ready to wear, where as an insider, I know what level of value they have, and the price point sometimes doesn't match the value, right? So
it's very interesting how you mentioned the price point doesn't match your value.
that's right.
And it's so similar, right?
Isn't
it's
it?
so similar to what we do,
It's
but
so
you do
close.
it for clothing.
Yeah.
I do it for real estate or property.
That's it.
And
yeah.
It's amazing.
Crazy. Anyway, so the way that I would approach it, it would literally be me with my insider perspective and with my experience. I would literally advise for specific items out of specific brands. Some items, such as, for example, the shirt or the trouser even, sometimes there are some brands out there, they're very affordable and they make you look the part without breaking the bank. And out of all of the items that you want to have, like in that specific negotiations, you want to have the jacket and you want to have the shoes. They're going to give you like that power in that negotiation. People really, they underestimate shoes all the time, and people don't know, but you know, like a very cheap looking shoe is definitely gonna, it's not gonna make you feel good. And the amount of times I hear, oh, this is just for work, I'm like, well, if it's for work, like you wanna present yourself at your best. And the jacket is the same story. So like a jacket that will go over most of the outfits that this person has in the wardrobe is probably the one piece of item that the majority of this $500 they need to go towards, right? Now, at that level, I won't name the brands exactly, but I can easily think of a couple of brands where you can, with about $100, you get away with a very good value shirt and trouser, and then you want to spend. And probably this is like, you know, going through like discounted stores, DFO, I don't know if it's Melbourne, there's a DFO, but you will get a nice looking shoe. There's the last pair in your size that you just magically find, and you might be able to get away with $100 or so. So then the $300, the biggest size of that transaction, it is in the jacket. And that will give you access to, especially online, to some stores which I know the specific brand, but like there will be some stores out there that deliver value, they have a good value, and then especially when they're discounted, it is a non-brainer. So I would just help them find the right size for the jacket that they need, and that's the outfit done. And then after the outfit is done, it's about tailoring it. So literally, if in this exercise, if I by some miracle, I manage to keep these items for under $400, by some miracle, then the last $100 can go towards tailoring. And the tailoring out of this whole process, as silly as it sounds, it is the thing that's gonna make it or break it. So sometimes some customers sometimes some people, I see them wearing a $4,000 or $5,000 suit, $10,000 suit. The amount of money doesn't matter if the fit isn't right. It really doesn't. You can wear like a $7,000 jacket, and like I'll be out having a drink or something, or having a dinner with a client, and I see the jacket and I'm like, I know that jacket is $7,000, but it doesn't fit you. So sometimes it isn't about flashing the brand, or like getting the brand out there. Like sometimes it's you can look more refined by just having a tailored garment on than somebody that's spending very heavy money on the clothes. So I think, to answer the question, I think I would keep it under $500 with just like a very high knowledge of the market, which I have, and just like years of experience, and putting the attention to what it matters, which is tailoring. And a lot of people out there, they don't think tailoring is important, but you present yourself with a jacket that's too tight on the waist, with a jacket that's too large on the shoulders, with pants that are too short, too tight. All of this really matters, and which you want it or not, it would define in the brain of the person that you're talking to. It would define the way they look at you, whether you like it or not. And sometimes
Self-ingrained, right? And it's unfortunate that it's something that you and I can't control. It's just ingrained in how, as sad as it sounds, it's ingrained in how society has evolved to, unfortunately, judge you, right? And judge is such a strong word to use on how you look.
Yeah. But people are looking for, I think, and I don't know if your is the same experience, but people are looking for reason not to do business with you. Like, that's the thing that a lot of people don't know out there. Is like, oh yeah, like I'm so great, I'm doing so well, like I genuinely want to help you. But in the end of the day, in the brain of the person that is dealing with you from a business professional perspective, they're looking for reason not to do business with you. And if they find it, you're done.
So to summarize, Bruno, if anyone out there wants to have a power look, to basically secure a property like I do, like you do, and we've got a very slim budget to start with, $500 to work with.
Yeah.
So my takeaway message is...
Send me a message.
Before they send you a message, my takeaway message is, with a $500 budget, to have a power look, to secure a deal, a property deal, like how I do, like how you do, is in shoes, in a jacket, and in tailoring.
That's right.
And if you want to know where to find your shoes, where to find your jacket, and how to tailor, how do they reach out to you, Bruno?
They can literally send a message, reach out. I answer all of my DMs personally. So that will be at House of Falcone. Falcone spelled Falcone, or they can just go on my website, www.houseoffalcone.com, and over there, like, they'll literally find all of the links to send a request. But to be honest with you, for me, social media works the best.
Yep.
So you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, or whatever it is. And the DM, I get tons of DMs every day, and I do take the time. I do give a specific time of the day from, like, you would know, from habits of a successful person. You just give a little time every day at the same time. But I do get back to you and answer all of the messages.
So I've now messaged you. I found you on Instagram.
Yeah.
You've responded. What does that working process look like?
Well, after you find me and message me, and we get a little bit of an exchange, I would love to do this in person. So, like, if I am in the city that you are in, I'm always, like, more than happy to have a first complimentary consultation. In that consultation is I call it a style consultation, because we'll go through really these questions. I'll really try to understand, what are you trying to achieve, and what kind of message and what kind of image you want to put out there. How do you want to be perceived? All of these questions are at the base of the work that I do with you. This might take 15 minutes or it might take 45 minutes. And then at the end of the consultation, you would have a color analysis, a body fit study, and a style suggestion. So meaning that you will have like an actual roadmap, again, step by step. What are the garments that you need to have in your wardrobe, and what is that you need to implement today to achieve that image? And then after that, if you do want to work with me, obviously within that roadmap, there will be some items that I can provide. So there will be like more than welcome to work with me. But most times that style consultation it is what it is. It's me trying to give back and really help the people that need out there. Yeah.
Amazing. That is a lot of professional advice that you can, deliver and empower in such a short amount of time to make a deal or break a deal for anyone out there. That's amazing.
I mean, those are the things that are unsaid. Like I know most of my clients, especially in the professional services, you don't know. Like you go into a networking event, you go into a meeting, you go into a client's meeting, or in your specific case, you go and negotiating in the behalf of the client, and your outfit, it's going to do a few things. Number one, yourself is gonna make you feel a certain way.
I think that's really important, like especially if you're young, 24, 25-year-old, at the early stages of your career or whatever important conversations or important deals that you're trying to make, whether it's a job interview, whether it's purchasing a property, buying a car, that power look.
You need to
you
feel
really
power.
want to amplify that maturity, that power look to complement your young age, and to give you the best foot forward to to empower and propel you and command that conversation.
Yeah, and then number two is gonna make the people that you're talking to shake on the boots. If it is something that you want, you can do that too. So I think we know like the outfit, it is sometimes something that might make or break the moment. And a lot of professionals out there, they don't understand that for them, that means actual dollar amount that's either coming in your pocket or not coming to your pockets. And that's why for me, like it is a journey, it is an actual mission to give that power, confidence, and strength to men and women out there and really change the way they look at themselves and the way they are perceived in the world.
That's amazing. So it's really, it's really setting, your image and really giving you that confidence to really empower and own the world, like you say, have that confidence in you.
Yeah.
The moment you walk through the door, to take that journey.
I know. Now, the last question that I wanted to ask you, because you've been so kind, you've been giving me all of the time in the world that you had. Can I ask you, what is, like I'm a tailor, I'm your tailor, but what has pushed you to have this chat with a tailor, right? What did you see into this world and really into me? Like, what did you sit down with me today?
Twofold. I've absolutely learnt heaps in terms of how image, fabrics, combination of outfits can give you a look or power you with just a look, to give you that sense of confidence, to take a leap of faith and push you forward and empower you forward. But really what led me was, I guess, your persona, your open approach to have a conversation, to bring people into your world, into your journey. And I'm now leaving effectively with, how do I now power myself through with clothes? A simple element that we do every day has the ability to change your future.
Wow.
And that's amazing. Like that is so powerful message to walk away. And it goes back to the daily habits. It's taking things that you can control to power and empower you forward in life.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. Oliver, it's been an absolute pleasure. I hope that this message is going to go to everyone out there that is stuck, is frozen, and they want to get out of this cocoon and they want to get into the property market. And just hearing the way that you approach it, the way that you help, that holistic view, it is so inspiring. I want to tell you from the bottom of my heart, this is just incredible. For anybody out there that don't know, we only met about 10 minutes at a networking event, and I knew there was something here for us. There was a connection, and I'm so glad that you took me up on this offer. And I think the way they approach business and the way they approach the way you help people, it is groundbreaking and industry shaking. The way that you do things, it is such beautiful and holistic, taking care of that client. And I know that you're going places. You're already going places. You're so successful. And I wish you all of the best. If people want to reach out to you, tell them one more time for your Instagram, your website. I think it's going to really change and impact everyone's life the moment that they contact
Yeah,
you.
100%. So the website is www.insight2.com.au and the social tags are olibuys.property.coffee.avo and insight2.buyersagency. I know it's a lot there. A simple, easiest way is just a website, www.insight2.com.au. Book your confidence call and we'll go on a journey to gain clarity, simplify your purchasing journey and really empower you to be purchasing in today's market and with that confidence and a powerful look.